Students, this is your Devdeep sir back with part 2 of lecture number 1, that is the chapter number 2, data visualization. So in the first part we learnt about different topics that was pertaining to the concept of data visualization. What was the purpose behind data visualization? We had a look at all these topics here. Now today in part 2 of the lecture we will be going in more depth about the topic of data visualization and see how it helps us to learn more about visualizing data with the help of this amazing library that is Matplotlib. Now students, I have already given you idea about Matplotlib. Today we will be specifically looking at PyPlot, which is one of the module of Matplotlib. So without further ado, let's get started. So PyPlot, by the name itself, it helps us or gives us idea about how we can plot data. So what exactly is PyPlot? How it helps us to plot data? That is the first important thing that we have to know here. That what is PyPlot module and what is its utility to plot the data. In the learning objective, we will first understand what is the utility of PyPlot, how the PyPlot helps us to understand about the process of plotting graph that we are going to understand. So, learning objective, I think it is clear to all the students to understand the utility of PyPlot in plotting graphs particularly. So, how does PyPlot helps us to plot the graph? That we will understand. When your success criteria will be defined, your success criteria will be defined when you are able to plot the different graphs using the PyPlot method. Now there are different PyPlot functions for different graphs. Like these different functions, the main utility of these different functions are basically they are used to plot the different graphs accordingly. For example, line chart particularly, PyPlot helps it to plot using a function called plot. So plot function is a dedicated function with the help of which we are going to plot line chart. Okay. So main agenda, as we can see here, is it will help you to plot any form of graph with the help of visible markers. So I would all request everyone to focus on this word markers. What are markers? Markers are nothing but if we have a graph like this, if we are drawing a graph like this, so in a graph it is quite obvious that we have different marking points. Like suppose this is a point, this is another point. So correspondingly there are different values we are plotting. So these points are identified by the points pertaining to x-axis and y-axis. So data markers or data points, whatever name you call it, they are used to point out the values of both respective x-axis and y-axis respectively. Okay. So I hope this method is clear to everyone. We'll move to the next topic now. Now next is we will talk about, because scatter chart and bar chart. Bar chart is there in the syllabus, whereas pie chart and histogram are not there in the syllabus. They have been deleted by CBSE. So we are not bothered about this topic. Okay. What we are bothered about here primarily, we will be having a look at this topic particularly, that is bar chart. Now bar chart comes in two different types. One is horizontal bar graph, another is bar graph, okay, the vertical bar. They are plotted using dedicated functions. What are the dedicated functions associated with it? The dedicated functions that are associated with this are bar and bar h. So these two functions help us to plot the bar graph, okay. Now resuming the lecture, then as we understood that what is the utility of bar? Bar is used to plot vertical bar graph, whereas bar h is used to plot horizontal bar graph. Histogram is plotted using a dedicated function which is called HIST, or also known as hist. Now in histogram particularly, it is plotted using data points pertaining to different frequency. I hope all of you know mathematically what frequency is. It refers to the repetition of values, okay. So histogram is used to visualize the repetition or frequency of data, how they are differing from a range of value. So I hope it is clear then what are the graphs you have to know. We'll be studying about line chart, we'll be studying about bar chart, we'll be studying about histogram in this syllabus. Now there are specific functions that helps us to plot different charts, such as grid function. Grid function is used to plot grid lines. What are grid lines? Grid lines are nothing but they are used to basically plot the chart grids. Now what are chart grids? If we say a chart grid can be anything like I'll just create a chart grid to show you how it looks like. Now see, this is a graph. On a graph particularly, we see lines given like this, out of which different graphs are plotted on the basis of this. Now suppose this is one marker or data point. So the grid lines helps us to know at which particular point it is pertaining to which axis data, okay. Which particular point it is pointing to which axis data. Suppose this will point the y-axis data, and at this particular point it will point out the x-axis data. So that is the utility of grid, okay. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now next we have the savefig option. What is the utility of savefig? Savefig option is used to save the plot. Save the plot in the sense it is used to save the graph that you have generated by the help of coding in your device, laptop, desktop or tab, whatever. Title is used to assign the title of the chart. X label is used to set the label for the x-axis. Y label is used to similarly set the title for the y-axis, and X ticks or Y ticks are interesting. What is it used for? It is used for setting the interval. Now let's bring in the note tab again, and I am going to show you how we can set the x-axis and y-axis. Normally in a graph that you all know, what is this x ticks and y ticks that we are talking about. So if we talk about a graph, if I draw a graph here, suppose this graph is having different values in the x-axis, whereas in the y-axis we are having the values. See, all of you can observe there is one pattern here, that they are all increasing by a common particular trend. That is, y-axis increasing by a value of 5, and this is increasing by a value of 2. So this is what it means, that is y ticks means actually the interval of y-axis. Whereas x ticks refer to the interval of x-axis. Okay, so this is the concept of x ticks and y ticks as is given. So we move to the next topic now. I hope these two modules are clear to you, and this officially brings us to the closure of lecture 1. Now today, now next module, definitely we are going to start our lecture 2, where I will show in depth about line chart. But I have planned something special for you all today. Today I am going to show you the coding aspect of line chart in more detail. So whatever we are going to learn today, we are going to learn the same theoretically in lecture number 2. So without further ado, I am going to take you to Pydroid app now, where I have prepared a code for you all, or in fact I am going to do live coding. So today we are going to look at a very realistic problem, that is the increase of fuel price over the years. Okay, so I recently came across a particular data where data of fuel prices for year 2005 to 10 I received. Okay, so let me get the things ready first. To start the graph plotting, we have to write the command import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. This is the first line, I believe all of you know this. Then what you need to do, as I told you, we will make a chart on increase in the fuel price. Okay, so prepare, this is a multi-line comment as I have given, putting a multi-line comment here, preparing a chart on, or be specific, preparing a line chart on increase in fuel price for the year 2005 to 10. Okay, and here we are going to start the graph now. Okay, so first we are going to plot in x-axis all the year. So year goes over here. Then I'm going to plot in the next axis price. Finally we are going to plot the graph. So which function, as you saw in the last slide, plt.plot. Plot is the dedicated function for line chart. So we are going to use which function here? Plot function. So now here already we have the data, that is 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2010. Similarly, you can input the data for price. Now, the data that I have here, in 2005, the price of petrol, unleaded petrol, was 45 rupees. In 2006, it increased to 47 rupees. In 2007, it became 52 rupees. 2008, it became 57 rupees. 2008, That is 2005, again I am saying 45, 2006 it became 47, 2007 52, 2008 it became 57, 2009 it became 63, and by the time we reached 2010 it became 65 rupees. Okay, so cheap it was, just see. And then finally what we are going to plot? We are going to plot here over in the x-axis and y-axis price. Now there are different attributes you can make, which we are going to learn in lecture 2, to make our line chart very interesting. This is called customization that I am going to teach you now. We can even change the default line style or the type of line. So if I want to, normal is solid line, if I want to make it look dashed, so I am writing the attribute line style. In line style I am going to write here either dash, or I am used to use a code. The code for dash line is double dash, like this. Okay. Similarly, I want to make the color green, so I can use the code. The code for green is G. And finally, I want to make the data points visible, so I am going to use here marker. So this much of customization I am teaching you today. More we will learn in our next class. So what did I write here? Normally the simple way of plotting line chart is year price and that's it, nothing else. But I have taught you line style. Okay, the different type of line I am using here as the, what did I say, dashed line. Color attribute I have added to set the color of the line graph, and also marker to show the data points. Okay. Now the traditional functions you saw, plt dot x label for title of the x-axis. So in x-axis what do we have? We have the year. Let us copy this. plt dot y label. What do we have here? In y label I am going to put the price. plt dot title. What are we doing? This graph is all about in price hike of, or you can just simply write fuel price hike, fuel price hike trend, trend 2005 to 2010. Okay, this is the title of the graph. And finally plt dot x label, y label we have given. Finally plt dot show. If you want to add the grid line, which is optional, you can have to write another line that I just taught you, that is the grid. If you want to see plt dot grid. Now let us run the code and see what will be the output. You can see the output is coming here. That is, on the x-axis we have the year, whereas in the y-axis we have the different price mentioned. So in this way we can create simple, quite interesting line graphs using Python. So this was all in part 2 of lecture 1. Now officially I can say that we all have successfully completed the preliminary lecture 1 related to data visualization. Now you can sum up both the lectures that I have given you and give feedback to me on the mail ID and on the comment section of this video, which will be uploaded in YouTube. But please don't forget to give feedback, because your honest feedback is very much appreciated. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe my channel, that is 𝕻𝖕𝖑𝖊 Tech Junkie, and hope you stay tuned for more amazing video related to data visualization in the coming days. Thank you.